Today's guest is a YouTuber, producer, and stand-up comedy expert. You know him from his YouTube channel, JokeWRLD, where he is the ESPN of comedy news. Please give it up for my friend, Mr. Jake Frombach. Okay, well, listen, Jake Frombach, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Jimmy.
Dude, I have so many questions. First off, I'm just going to start off by saying to all of the audience members, this is an inside comedy podcast. I am not going to be asking a lot of the more generalized questions to get to know who you are. I imagine if you're listening to this podcast, it's because you know who Jake is, you're a fan of JokeWRLD, and you just want to kind of dive deep and get all of the information.
Yeah, and I will start off by saying thank you for having me as your first guest.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is going to help you or not because our whole channel is I don't know if anyone wants to hear me yap. Or
They do.
Okay.
I do, at least, and
All
that's
right.
what I'm going based on. So,
right.
Okay, first off, I think JokeWRLD, to me, it was like the first introduction to someone going in depth into comedy podcasts. I've been a big fan of comedy and stand-ups for as long as I can remember, but podcasting, I don't really think it blew up to my memory until maybe 2018, 2017 in the comedy world, where it just became huge and all of your friends listened to Theo Von, listen to Joe Rogan, all that. When did you get the idea of I want to make JokeWRLD?
So that happened during COVID for me. So basically to answer your question there, bring it all back. I graduated college in 2020. I just turned 27 years old. So that's basically my time frame there.
Okay.
And during that time, for all 4 years of college, I was doing open mics at my school. And
Yeah, because you used to do stand-up.
I used to do stand-up, and that's what I wanted to do. My plan was I played college football at some shitty small D3 school. And I wanted to basically do open mics there, then get a job in either marketing or sports sales, like ticket sales, in a big city that had a stand-up market. Because I'm from Cleveland, 20 minutes outside of Cleveland. They had open mics and stuff there too. But I remember asking the lady who ran the Cleveland Facebook, how do you become a professional comedian?
Yeah.
When I was still in college, and she basically just said to move. You can't. It's not possible to just stay in Cleveland and do that, which I think is honestly not true anymore. I
don't think so anymore. I think you could live anywhere you want and you could make 100%. A successful comedy career.
But so yeah, that was my plan, was to get a business job, marketing major in college. So some sort of business job in one of the major scenes, and then just try to do open mics with a real job. Never fully going completely in on it because my parents paid for my school. I got to get a real job still.
Now, is that your parents talking or is that you talking?
It's probably both of us talking.
Because I was in the same boat. I went to college. I got a real degree, and then I was like, I don't want to fucking do this at all.
Yeah, and it's why did I could have just not done any of this and just started stand up the whole. I could do more stand up if I wasn't living in Alliance, Ohio, where there's 2,000 people and there's just one mic a week. The fact that I went to college at all made me at least want to try to get a job. Anyway, it didn't matter because I graduated during 2020, so there was no jobs, there was no stand up, there was no anything really. I had to move back home after that. Didn't even really graduate officially. We graduated online. Yeah. And so that whole plan was kind of shot, and I was just in my parents' house pretty pissed off, and I lost all my friends, my senior year of college, all that kind of thing, because it was just all gone, locked down like that. So
you were pissed off at COVID?
At COVID, yeah, because I didn't have all the job opportunities I was kind of trying to get lined up. Those were all gone. All the open mics were gone. So I really didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I just graduated college and the world was shut down. I didn't know what I was going to do with the rest of my life. So I was starting to Instacart during the day while living at home and just listening to a lot of comedy podcasts already. I worked for the city during the summers before that, so I would listen to a lot of JRE because it's just long and mowing the grass all day. So that's when and that's right when Two Bears really took off, and
I remember Two Bears during COVID was fucking huge.
Yeah,
I would just listen to them every week on my run, and it was
Yeah, so I was that was really taking off, and I was listening to that while Instacarting, and then during at nighttime I would just be on YouTube because I liked just YouTube and YouTubers, and I liked people that did sports commentary. I had some channels like that, some just reaction commentary, Cody Ko back in the day, or guys like that. But there was no one talking about comedy like that either. And I had always known how to video edit, just making sketches with my friends or just stuff like that. So, and I just kind of was all right, in the meantime, I'm just going to make a channel that is what I would want to see on YouTube, which is just like people kind of talking about comedy, but also more like the highlights too, because that was the easiest thing that was already out there. There's a lot of compilation channels already out there.
Well, that's the thing. You made a personality behind the compilation.
Yeah, I guess so.
The way that I always saw it was I was like, who the fuck is just sitting around making all these compilations that nobody knows who they are? They don't really have any of their own personal stamp on it. It's just like, to me, honestly, it kind of felt like stealing material. The reason I thought, I was like, oh, they're creating these YouTube channels to rip off Theo Vaughn for 10, 15 seconds at a time and then make money off it.
Right,
But what you did was, I think it totally changed everything because it brought a personality to it. And now you are as much a part of the news as like the comedians are, which is very interesting. I
appreciate that. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, the intention behind the whole thing was never just to have like a compilation channel on YouTube where it's like, oh yeah, this is like my hobby to like edit these videos. Like I wanted it to be literally, like I had the sports background, like from playing D3 college football, which is just a weird fun fact. But that the Sports Center and like that kind of thing, like comedy, there's no comedy journalism, but there's so much sports journalism. You could argue sports journalism is just as big as the games. Like their media people, they feel so. It's so funny, like when watching them feel so entitled to like these interviews and stuff. Like they'll go up to people's locker rooms and just tell them that they had a terrible game and just like expect to get another interview the next day. Whereas I'm just like carefully like DMing people and like so grateful for any time I get. But it's very like the sports journalism is huge. There's celebrities like Stephen A. that just talk about sports.
Yeah.
And there's none of that for comedy. And that's just kind of like what I wanted to build, not to like to become Stephen A., just to have like more people talking about comedy in general, which is why, so that's kind of like the origin story, but that's why like nowadays, if like people call me Joke World or say it's a YouTube channel or something, like I don't want to be known as Joke World. I'm not a rapper.
Sure.
That's just like, it's more of a company name. It's not even
it's
a
Barstool
YouTube channel.
is what it is.
Exactly. It's like that. And it's like not even necessarily a YouTube channel. To me, it's like Barstool or like ESPN. It's like a company. We just so happen to get 99% of our attention on YouTube, but to me, it's more of like a larger concept that's still just kind of in the beginning of building because.
That shows. I mean, like I can tell you're like,
Well,
oh, this isn't just a compilation channel. This is like, I truly think it is like a Barstool. Like Barstool started by being like, oh, we love sports and we're going to talk about sports like college kids talk about sports.
Yeah.
You know, they had like, oh, here's some hot chicks and it's like,
Yeah.
great. But then it built into this whole media empire. Now they have all these different podcasts under it and they have all these.
Yeah.
What is your goal for Joke World?
Well, I've always really looked up to Barstool, and it's always, I was a stoolie, as they say, in college the whole
Viva
time.
la Stool?
Yeah, I'm a big AWL. I had the sticker,
got it.
I had all that. And that's probably why I got the free stickers going now, because they just were great at marketing, and they were great at like, one of the things I thought of when I wanted to make a channel like this, which I've almost like kind of had to like turn away from just because you realize like how to caption things to get views and all that kind of stuff, but like, I would look at Barstool, then I would look at like Bleacher Report or like the real ESPN, which I'm a fan of, but it was just so corny when they were trying to do what Barstool, they saw what Barstool was doing was working. And then they would try to be like, Bleacher Report would be like, bro, I'm dead with a skull emoji. Like, it was just like very like, don't try to do, I didn't like that.
It's fake.
So it's fake, yeah.
Not authentic.
Yeah, exactly. And now, and I was like, if I ever was in that position to like build something like that, I definitely want it to be so much more like Barstool than like these like corporate, like, you know, just trying to be in on the joke that they're not really a part of. I do realize that you have to sometimes use some emojis and some all caps wording and stuff like that nowadays. So, but I have always really looked up to Barstool and their network. And at one point I was like, maybe a podcast network or like specials would be cool down the line one day. But then sometimes I'm like, I don't know, if people are already doing that well, and to be objective on the news, maybe I don't really want to be like a part of like it all goes back and forth. But the main goals that have never changed is to become like the premier news source of comedy. Like when you think about sports, you think about Sports Center.
Check.
And then also one day I would like to have the JokeWRLD Comedy Club, somehow a real brick and mortar place that we can tie our online presence to a real comedy club. So like maybe there's some live streaming element that goes straight to the channel for like a crowd work show or something with burn. You got to figure out how to like the material part would work. But in general, just a club in Austin, I think would be really cool because it is like a comedy playground, but maybe some other places too. And then a festival would be really cool. And just, just making. The other thing about the news show is, like I said, about ESPN and SportsCenter and having it be a show and not like a brand, like me being the brand at all. I think one day I could easily just be interchanged as the host of the comedy news and start working on some of these other things like a festival or a club or some documentaries about specific people, like someone like Red Band or something like that, being like, oh, we could work on 6 months on a project instead of just a week and have someone else being the host of that may actually has some more experience in this, that could even do a better job on camera, being like the weekly news guy that I'm kind of doing now, and then give me some time to push the business forward. This is all very inside baseball, like you said.
Well,
so
this is what this is about.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't give a fuck about like.
Yeah.
I just basically I'm using this as an opportunity to interview people that I just find very interesting. But I think that's a great idea. Specifically, I'm interested. I want to talk about like those mini docs. Like doing a doc on Red Band, I think would be so interesting. Or like I always thought someone should do even if it's a mini doc, but like the history of the Come Town podcast.
Oh yeah.
Because there's just so much lore behind there, what happened, how it ended. Like comedy podcast, I feel like is so ripe for so many different stories to be told that people aren't really doing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that are kind of coming into it now don't even know about the old ones. So you've been in it for a while, so you already know just as a fan a lot of these older stories.
Yeah.
Now, Barstool, let's stick with that analogy. You have Prez, you have Big Cat, you have all the KFC, all the different faces. How big is your team now? Is it still just you?
So we are 2 full-time people, and then we have
are you the full-time person, or you and then
me, and then Chase Lepard, who is out in San Francisco. He is he was probably close to a year and a half, maybe 2 years at this point. And he does all of the so like this is the real inside baseball breakdown. So how it works is like, well, he does a lot of stuff. He's out in San Francisco. First of all, he's been building up this like social platform of his for a very long time, almost like doing Joke World for no reason or just like as his hobby for the last 15 years. And then it all kind of came together once my channel was big enough to hire someone and I could bring him on. But he has been building these relationships, making memes from like the Sober October days. He worked with Bert. He's built websites for popular comedians and all this kind of stuff. It just has all these relationships with people, just and also aligned with our kind of like, I don't want to say values, like this is so serious, but just like not like shitting
values
on people. Yeah, not like
that'll
shitting
bring
on
me
people.
to a different topic, but continue.
Or just like, you know, like it's like he likes comedy, he's knowledgeable about it. He was just the perfect guy to hire, who's just literally been doing this like as a hobby, for no reason.
The best people,
which is the best. Yeah, exactly. So
you don't have to, get after him to do the work.
He loves it already. And like you said about like the Come Town thing, like he has a Rolodex of information in his head. Like he's like almost like you like trained an AI bot to like just know about this niche that we're working in. Like he doesn't have to look everything up because he knows some stuff. So together we make a good team in that sense. And so I'll sketch out the thumbnails and send them his way. Then he'll like just make them come to life off of just like an idea. So he does all the thumbnails, and then clip scouting. If it's like, hey, we got a long compilation, like the best of the month coming up, can you handle these podcasts and go through and pick out 2 or 3 moments from each one so I can go through and then look at those.
So you guys split it up then?
He does. Well, it depends on project by project.
Okay. Because it's a lot of you guys.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of those clip of the month.
Yeah, he does like all of that pretty much. And ×2 speed is really both of our secret, I would say.
Sure, of course.
Get through all of that.
I mean, but still, dude, that's a lot of fucking podcasts.
Oh, of course.
We're talking, you're following at least, what, 7 or 8 a week? At least?
Honestly, like how we do it is like we're just so focused on each video, like project by project, that it usually gets to like the 25th or 6th, so then we're like, all right, fuck. Like you got to start the best of the month. I'm going to keep doing whatever we're doing, the shorts or whatever.
But I mean, even at the best of the month, you have to listen to the whole Tim Dillon show. You have to listen to Joe Rogan. You have to listen to Fighter and the Kid. You have to listen to Tim Dillon.
We have probably like, there's probably like 70 podcasts that we've covered all together. There were 64 in our March Madness. And then there's probably like the best 30 to 40-ish clips for the best of the month get put in there. You can kind of tell though, like if there's a really good guest, like on like this is just so random, like a podcast like the Duncan Trussell Family Hour. It's like if they have like a good notable guest versus 3 solo episodes, we can pretty much narrow down like that's going to be the one. Also, Chase would be great on this show, honestly. Like he's basically like a producer of like Joke World too. So
I would love to talk to him.
Yeah, because this is definitely more up his alley. But I do it for other videos too, so I basically know the same process. But yeah, you can kind of pick out like if there's a big if like Bad Friends went on Flagrant, we're probably going to use that episode. And also it helps to transition in between the clips, like whatever they talked about on the ending of one clip. If they brought up Bobby Lee or something, and then you know that he's on this next one, you can bridge it together and that kind of thing. So it just is a feel thing. I mean, it's been like 4 years of the channel, so it's at this point it's just like I just know how to make a best of the month compilation, which is just a very weird skill, I guess. But
yeah. Now you were talking about your values. Why don't you tell me a little bit about JokeWRLD's values?
This does feel very 60 minutes now.
Yeah. Well, I don't want it to feel 60 minutes.
No.
I am like kind of setting you up. No, not an insult, but I am for sure setting you up because I have a couple follow-up questions.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just say like I make videos for people that like comedy. Like, you know what I mean? So to me, it never makes sense, even if there's so many views available, which there certainly are, on like the negative spins on stories or just like fan fiction or like rage click kind of bait kind of stuff. I really like comedy, and I want to make videos for other people that like it. I also don't really like spending my time doing or consuming things that I don't like. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's never really been. So I guess a value is just like trying to uplift comedy and comedians. Not that like we're shining such a big spotlight, helping these people so much. They're already very successful, and that's why our channel is successful, because they're already doing so well.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
I just want to definitely be helping. I would never want to do anything to hurt or tarnish anyone's name or reputation. I want to, honestly, there's so many podcasts and they're filming so much content. A lot of things don't get seen also. So, you know, if we can use a best of the month compilation to get some other new podcasts, some eyes on them, that's amazing. And then, you know, the tide lifts all the boats, because if there's more podcasts that are famous, then I have more people to use in thumbnails, so then our channel can keep growing too. So
no, that is I think one of the things that you guys do very well is you're able to bring in a lot of smaller podcasts. Like I know you always do clips of like Rough Week or Derek and Hassan's podcast, and it's like those are funny podcasts, they're good podcasts, but they're not at like the Two Bears level of notoriety.
Exactly.
But by putting them in, you know, clip of the month, that does help them. That gains traffic.
Well, I would never be like, oh, we're helping them so much, because they're professional comedians that are.
No, you are helping them. It's just as much as any ticket sale helps a comedian.
I think that those podcasts honestly end up being like the funniest parts of those compilations a lot of time, which I just hope people like take each clip by clip, because it's easy to watch someone that is very famous and you know them well, and like, you know, like their laughs are like when they're joking and whatnot, you know, like a Theo clip or something like that. But sometimes I feel like those like podcasts are like under 100,000 subs on YouTube or whatever are like very funny right now, like Lemon Party, stuff like that, because it's like they are just like, it's like the old like JRE like on the couch with like Joey Diaz, and like they're still like really going for it.
They're hungrier.
Yeah, and not to say that the other podcasts aren't at all, but it's just it's almost more commercial. Like it's
if we're talking about hunger, like what did Mike Tyson say? It's hard to stay hungry when you're sleeping on satin sheets. Yeah, and that's not against the guy sleeping on satin sheets, but like, you know, for example, I recently heard that Nate Bargatze said that he's not going to tour again after this upcoming tour, and he goes, I want to give room for other comedians. And while I disagree, I think he's fucking hilarious and should keep touring, but that's selfish. I do agree with the fact of like, give some more room to the younger guys. Yeah. And I think that that's important. Plus, like growing up, I remember I always watched the roasts, and like the Comedy Central roasts, I always thought were a great opportunity to give younger comedians an opportunity to shine. You know, you got like guys like Jesselnick or Amy Schumer or some of these younger people that got their start there. And I think that this is just like the more modern era of that. You know, you make a podcast, put it up there, fucking JokeWRLD posts it. Now your video has, well, not your video, but like you making a very funny joke has 600,000 views in like 3 days. It's fucking crazy.
That'd be great. Well, that's something that honestly, like I think about also is like, I would like to be more of a vessel to get more eyes on like these funny clips that people like will be more affected by like this, like in a positive way. But it is just like hard to manage, you know, the culture of the world of the internet, of just like at a certain point, I got myself and Chase now on a team. We got to hit at least a certain amount of numbers just to make sure, like we need a certain amount of Rogan thumbnail videos to do well, or else no one's going to see any of this, and then this was all pointless, and then we won't be here in 4 more years, and then no one's going to get any new eyes. You know, this is a very selfish way. Only I would be thinking about it this way, but I also am in charge of it, so I have to. Yeah,
because someone's got to keep the fucking lights on.
But I would not rather, but it's almost better. I get more of a joy from making a video, or I don't know. You know what? I'm yapping now.
I know what you mean though. You're like, when you're able to help someone at the beginning of their career, it means more to them. So it makes you feel a bit better. Just like giving, and I'm not comparing up and coming stand-up comedians to homeless people, but like if you give a homeless guy $50, it's going to be a lot different than if you give Joe Rogan $50.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Or just like posting like a Theo Von Try Not to Laugh compilation versus an interview with like a Kill Tony bucket poll, or even they have a lot, or just any interview or like a project that we worked really hard on. Even if it's someone that's already famous, like we just posted a Adam Ray video where we interviewed him. And oh yeah, thanks. Well, like that felt better than the best of the month, even because it was like this was like this is a real video that we made.
Yeah. Well, that video gives me a vibe of like those mini docs that you're talking about.
That's where we're going.
Where it's like like a character profile, and I think that that's really good because there's a lot of people that just know Adam Ray as the Dr. Phil Clips guy, and this kind of showed a lot more of the story. And I was just perusing through some of the comments. They're like, "Oh my God, I'm so happy for him. This guy clearly deserves it." Like, and it's adding just this other aspect of them, which is really interesting and helpful, I think. Now, you mentioned there are people that do more hate-filled content. I think that that is for sure true, and I feel like it's so easy to slip into the negative. How do you consistently stay positive? Or at this point, maybe it's easy because this is the value of the brand and you're just kind of going along with the brand, but what made you initially go after that? Because you're like, oh, I want to be ESPN?
Yeah, kind of. But also, I think that people kind of just they make these comparisons between my channel and some negative ones and then give me credit when in reality, that's not even like necessarily what I'm going for. I'm just like reporting the news and the story like exactly verbatim, and then people are like, wow, you weren't. Well, yeah, I am positive. Well, because I'm also picking the stories. So usually I'm going to pick something that I'm naturally excited about. But it is funny sometimes to me to be like, wow, like you really are so positive, or at least just like tell it how it is. And it's like, well, yeah, because we'll make the same video on some topics. And I'm just saying what happened instead of just saying like, and this is going to be the end of his career because of the, and like, I don't even, it's honestly, this sounds so like, oh, whatever. But like, if you're making any content and getting it up on YouTube, that is impressive. And people are watching it. It's like, it is still like, it's not like, oh, this is like the most, bullshit content, just trash, whatever. It's not, they're still doing something. It's just that it's, in my opinion, almost like fan fiction for people that don't like these characters the same way they don't like WWE characters where like heels, where it's like, but they'd have to be part of it or else you wouldn't have any content. And this is like what you like, it's like hateful fans, like the people watching those videos watch more like Bert or Schultz content than anyone in the world, but like then they're real people that go to their shows or something. So I think it's all just kind of fun and games, and everyone's just at this point kind of a character in a different game. But I'm making things that I'm excited about, so I probably am naturally positive. But if it's something I'm not excited about, then I'll just say exactly what happened. And I think that's worked for people to be like, you're not shitting on someone or clickbaiting, like, because sometimes a negative thing will happen. And you just got to still make the video about it. I'm not trying to, be fake or be like bought and paid, propaganda for like.
Do people say that to you?
No, but it's just like, I'm not trying to make like, if someone like, I don't know, like killed someone, so even something smaller than that. If there was a big negative story and everyone's like, this is objectively bad, like that would, I guess, be our take. It's just, we're picking the biggest stories of the week, and they're usually just like, hey, this is what happened. Kill Tony sold out Madison Square Garden. If you didn't like the episode, then you can comment that. But that's not up to me to be like,
sure,
this was a bad episode and this is the end of Kill Tony and they really embarrassed themselves this time. It's like, that's just more like a fan. It's like Reddit, YouTube, but I'm trying to be like reliable news. Like if you didn't know at all what's going on, you can go to Joke World and figure out what's going on without having your opinion put in your head for you. Like, because a lot of times the negative comments about the comedians that we'll cover are just straight from these either negative videos or negative Reddits, whatever. But they're not even like creative or like their own opinions. They're just kind of parroting what they've already heard. And so I'm not trying to like just like force feed people opinions. I'm just trying to be like, this is what happened in the comedy world. I'm trying to keep you up to date. And that's why I don't even think there's a lot of personality in my videos. Like I think they're very almost just like, this is what it is.
Well, I think just by doing that, by having a clear voice, that is the personality.
Yeah, I guess so. But I wouldn't say that's like my personality in real life.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Saying everything just very clearly. Yeah, that'd be very weird.
Now I do do you feel like some of these negative channels have any like sometimes when I see a video from these negative channels, I'm like, oh, you're a heel. You're just being the heel though. So do you think,
maybe.
Because you bring up these guys watch, they make a video about how Bert's an asshole, and then you're watching more Bert content than anyone on the internet. So
maybe that, or also it's maybe just like they can make a video about someone that they know they'll never meet or don't even want to meet. That's the other thing, is like they don't like do the interviews or anything like that, or they don't have
it's your balls are a lot bigger when it's behind the screen, right? You're actually next to Bert. You gotta be like,
so that, and
Mr.
then also,
Kreischer, how you doing?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. But I also don't think that they care. They're not trying to be seen as ESPN or like a real company. They are just trying to be seen as a YouTube commentary channel, and they don't care if they ever meet these people or offend these. And they're just making an absurd amount of money from it, I assume. So it's kind of just like,
yeah.
And I'm not even like, honestly, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
really.
don't hate on it.
Yeah.
Just it's a different lane.
It's just a different lane of videos, and I feel like those people. I feel like the viewers might cross over. Maybe they don't. But honestly, they probably don't, because a lot of their videos do a lot better than mine, honestly, like views wise.
Well, negativity, it does better online.
Oh, for sure.
But to be fair, negativity is not real. Like, whenever you're online a lot, I find myself like getting in these modes where I'm like, oh, this thing is for sure the case.
Yeah.
And then I go talk to anyone outside of my room, and they're like, that's not the case at all. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like,
I just think it's probably that same group of people watching all those videos. Because also something, and I like probably like 2 years ago-ish, it was like more like I was trying to be more competitive, because like I said, I have this sports background. I'm trying to fuel like the motivation to like keep posting every day, all this kind of stuff, besides just like making videos, is just trying to compare like views or anything to these other channels where I could be like have some sort of baseline of like we're talking about the same topic, not even like, oh, I wish I had this channel, just like, all right, we have the same type of niche. And then just like, this is going to be like my made up rival in my head, just to push myself. It's not like I'm just like,
everybody does that.
Yeah. So this is, I do notice that these negative videos will get a ton of views. It's very impressive, and it's very fast too. And it's really good. It's like a legit, they'd be like one of the biggest podcasts, like if you did it like that kind of views, like in 2 days, 400K, like really insane. Yeah. But their subscribers seem to climb a lot slower, because I think it's just kind of like the same group of people that are in on all these jokes, that understand like the Brennan Schaub references, or like you kind of have to like speak this language and have been around the negative like Reddits or whatever for a decent amount. And also it is funny, like they have their own inside jokes and all that kind of stuff too. So I do think it's probably just like the same kind of group of people that are just watching all these videos, because they do kill it in views, but the subscribers seem to pretty much stay the same. That is just the most, like, I might be the only person that's ever noticed that, just because I'm on YouTube all day, and I hope I'm not killing this podcast.
No, dude, not at all. I find this very interesting. I was actually told from my buddy Matty Stu that you are like a YouTube savant. So we're like, dude, if you have any YouTube questions, just ask Jake. He knows everything.
All right.
Is that just self-taught? Are you an analytics guy? Are you like math-minded?
I would never call myself a YouTube savant. I don't know why Matty said that. I appreciate it. I guess. I mean, I've been, like I said, I liked YouTube as just a person that goes on YouTube, you know, my whole life. And then, I mean, I've just done this every day for over 4 years now, and full time for like 2.5. But like every day, 7 days a week, just like probably 10-ish hours a day, just grinding on YouTube.
Now, do your family and friends think it's so cool that you're like rubbing shoulders with the best comedians in the world?
Yeah, I definitely think they do. But at first, they just thought it was like, especially my friends in Tampa. Before I just moved here in August. Like my one buddy moved down from Ohio, and he was expecting us just to be hanging out all the time, just being like, dude, I thought you woke up at 10 p.m. and then opened your laptop, was done at 2, and then just like kind of fucked around all day. Like,
yeah, no, it's just...
Yeah, because most people would expect if you were just posting YouTube clips for a living, then you kind of are just like doing that on, like, it seems very easy, and I'm not saying it's the hardest thing ever, but it's a big time commitment. So... yeah, my boys back home think it's very cool every time I get to do something like interview Tom Segura or something. Like they were like very nervous for me. I was nervous. It was cool to tell them about something like that. But also it was a learning experience of like it is more serious than I think they wanted it to be at the beginning, and a time commitment. But they're good about it. My girlfriend is good about the time commitment.
Does she like comedy as well?
Yeah, she does.
Because if they don't, it's impossible. I do stand up, and I used to date this girl, and she just fucking hated comedy. She didn't want to go to the club. She didn't want to do anything, and it's just like, yo, this isn't gonna work.
Yeah, that's
it's too much time.
Yeah. See, I met her when I was doing stand up, and then so she was around from before any of this like journey at all, and then I've kind of like introduced her to stand up through this kind of thing. So she really likes it. Yeah, she likes Giggly Squad on her own, like Hannah Burner and them. But she, from like the world that I live in, she's a big Chris Stefano fan. Brian Simpson. She likes Tony because he's sassy. She says, so we just went to Kill Tony on Monday, actually.
At the Mothership?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was very cool to see. It was the first one I saw at the Mothership ever. And it was almost like smaller than I thought it was going to be. Like, I've been in the Mothership obviously before, and I always was in there and was like, wow, I can't believe they do Kill Tony in here. It seems so much smaller.
Yeah.
And I was sitting kind of like in the back against the wall, and it just seemed like, not in a bad way at all, but like lower stakes than I thought in my head. Like in your head, when you're watching it on YouTube, you're like, how do these people even get up there and speak? Like, I'd be so nervous. Like, this is the whole world's watching it.
Yeah, well, it is millions.
But in the room, it just seemed like, oh, you just get up there and fuck around. Like, it just seemed like so much.
It's a big room, at least. It's like 250 people.
I guess in my head, it was just like a coliseum.
Yeah, I think they just make it seem bigger on the show, for sure.
And I've seen shows at the Mothership, too, like dozens in that same room, and been like, I can't believe they filmed Kill Tony in here. I don't get that. And just being there, I was like, yeah, obviously you'd still be nervous and stuff, but like, I don't know, it just seemed so much more manageable.
Yeah, well, what about the fact that Kill Tony started... He was in the belly room of the Comedy Store.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's smaller than this fucking room right here.
That's
you know?
crazy.
And now he's doing arenas. It's truly wild. Do you think you will ever sign up for Kill Tony? Do you think your stand-up day is done or what?
I would, dude. Doing actual stand-up feels better than like posting a video or like looking at a number on a screen and being like, wow, that. Even a short that gets 1 million views, it's like, oh my gosh, this feels so good. It feels really good in your head. You're like, this is great. But doing like a shitty open mic in Ohio, when you're done with that, to me, it felt better than like even just doing this kind of YouTube thing. But I almost like feel like I paid myself into a corner a little bit of like, I would never want anyone to think that I did all of this just to like slap my own stand up on top of it and be like,
who fucking cares?
Well, and I don't know if it damages my credibility because you do have to bomb to get better. And like, if I was to do it again, I'd probably just want to do the same 5 or 10 minutes I know works from 2 or 3 years ago. And it's like, well, then what am I even? I'm just wasting everyone's time. A real comedian could be taking this spot on stage.
You see how much cope this is? This is so much fucking cope.
I don't know, dude. I just think
you have an interest in doing it. You clearly love comedy, dude. Do it.
Yeah, but then it's. I don't know if I've complicated things for myself because of this
career.
There's
no such thing.
Okay.
What is Joe Rogan? Oh, I was the Fear Factor guy. Am I really going to get up on stage and go tell dick jokes again?
But he was a comedian before. Oh, and
I'm a fucking UFC commentator. I can't get into stand-up. I just feel like if people
think I'm judging comedians...
But you're the non-judgmental one.
I
what
know,
are you talking about?
I know.
Jake's going to go up on Joke World. He's like, so every comedian sucks now. I have a new tight 5.
I'm just saying, like, I need room to be bad at it if I was actually going to, like, do it.
Well, don't post it then.
No, I'm saying like literally in the room of like other comedians that might have like a chip on their shoulder, like, oh, this guy.
They're gonna have a chip on their shoulder anyway.
Comedy and posts other people's clips, and he walks in and he bombs. Well, this, that kind of thing. These are the reasons that I feel like I can't do. But also, I don't think if I wasn't wearing this hat, anyone would even know who I was. So I probably could just do it and it would be fine.
Yeah.
As far as Kill Tony goes, I would think I would be more likely to try to like just do stand up around here to get back into like some sort of 60-second shape to try to sign up for that, because I don't know I think that would be fun, but that would really be big balls on the table, just being like like everything I just said. That would be if I bombed on Kill Tony, that on the internet, basically, just being like,
for sure.
So that would be like really fun to try. And then
I think let's say worst case scenario, you bombed.
Yeah,
people are like, oh, you're not funny or whatever. Yeah.
I guess I would just have to make it a whole news story about like owning it, that how bad it was, and then I could move on. But getting the clip of it would be worth it for me, honestly.
The clip, dude. What about like, you're the go-to comedy guy, right? Mm-hmm. Like on YouTube, whenever I want to know what's going on with stand-up, you're the guy I go to.
Oh,
if I wanted to start stand-up, and I have a little cousin who wants to start stand-up, I'm like, dude, what if Joke World just had how to, the process of signing up for Kill Tony and
yeah.
the whole thing, the whole
That'd be
backstory.
cool.
Or like Mark Norman is doing Page to Stage right now.
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
You could do something similar, just like you getting back out there. I don't know. I find it very interesting.
That would be cool. My fear is that people would think that I've built a reputation off famous comedians just to try to make myself the star, which is not the case.
Yeah, but no one, once that you listen to you, no one thinks that.
Okay.
I'm like, I am in the same boat as you, where I'm always in my head thinking about, but how would this person perceive me? How would this person? And it's like, why?
I know it doesn't matter.
Fucking matter. And in fact, it only gets in your way. It only is negative.
Honestly, it's probably because it's like way harder to do than just to keep doing YouTube.
This is the worst part. It is the truth. If you signed up for an open mic, nobody would fucking care.
Yeah.
That's
true.
maybe the worst part is you're like, you're like in the back of the creek. You're like, hey, did you hear the Joke World guy bombed? What? Who said that? What the fuck?
I'm trying to spread it. Yeah. No, that would be great. Honestly, I wouldn't even be offended. I'd be relieved by that. Like, I'm not really out for attention. I really liked doing stand-up, and I wasn't that bad at it.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I love stand-up comedy, and I've always loved stand-up comedy. The one thing that made me hate it was doing it. Like the more and more, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not a successful stand-up comedian, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, but I do think there's a negative attitude in our comedy world on how to do it. You know what I mean? People are like, you have to do stand-up 15 times a week minimum if you want to get good.
Yeah.
And then, you do that for 6 years, which I did. I started when I was 18. I'm 28 now, so I've been doing stand-up for 10 years.
Nice.
And, bro, doing it every day like that just made me deep into the comedy world. I wasn't able to relate to anyone on a real level. I'm not a person anymore.
Right, yeah.
So what I did was, over the past maybe year, is I just really actively tried to focus more on being a person and living a life. And I found that A, I'm so much funnier, and B, I'm more confident in my stand-up.
Yeah,
which is
sense.
Weird,
No, that definitely makes sense. I didn't like stand-up as much when I was doing it because I would get anxious to watch it because I was like, these people are so funny. Or if it was just seeing people posting dates and all that kind of stuff, I was like, it just made me just anxious to be like, I'm behind that kind of, not even jealous, just like, oh,
comparing
no,
yourself to other people, you can't help it.
And then so it just made me not want to watch a Andrew Schultz clip, because I was like, this is gonna be so good, and
dude, I completely agree, and
I
think
can't
it's just
do this. I'm not that smart. I'm not as smart as him. I don't know about world geography, any of this kind of thing. But the ironic thing is, once I stopped doing it, I've my job became basically studying it and auditing it from afar and talking to the best comedians in the world. And I feel like I know more about it now. That's why I liked listening to JRE when I worked for the city, because I was still doing mics, and I was when he has a comedian on. You don't know when you're starting out how to do anything, even what you're supposed to do, how to write jokes, or how to find gigs, or you just don't know anything. Everyone does it a different way. So every time he would bring on someone and they would just break down the old days, I was like, this is gold. This is a handbook on how to become a comedian. And ironically, once I stopped doing that, I've met and had so many conversations and just dove so far into it, spent hours and hours and hours studying it, that I feel like I know a lot about it, more than I ever could have, just
100%
back then. It's very funny. But
also, what I've noticed is when you do too many open mics, I always felt bad by being the guy that would just show up to the open mic, do my set, and leave. It didn't feel right.
Then you have to stay there.
I wanted to stay there, and I wanted to watch the other comedians, at least offer them the same courtesy that I was hoping for.
Yeah.
But then you listen to a shitload of bad comedy, and you start mimicking it.
Yeah,
at least
that made me more confident.
My thoughts would be bad comedy. You know what I mean? I'm listening to some other dude do a punchline, and I'm like, I know he's gonna say, the N-word or whatever, or the F slur or whatever the fuck, and it's just
that would make me feel confident, because I was
no, because then when I'm writing, I find myself coming up with the same punchlines.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, this
sense.
is a fucking hack punchline.
Yeah, that's no good.
I can't go. I have to stop going to these open mics.
Yeah, that's definitely no good. But if you're ever nervous about how you're I don't know if that was good or not, just stay one or two more, and then you'll walk out of there being like, way better than that guy.
That's true.
That's true. I've gone to some open mics here in Austin now. Whenever I'm just needing a confidence boost of like, oh, I'm posting all these videos. Who do I think I am? Do I even know anything about comedy? And I'm just like breaking it down all the time. I don't, whatever. Then I'll go and I'll see just like the worst open mic attempt, and I'll just be like, all right, I have more of a grip, I guess, than.
Yeah, but dude, it was one time. I moved here in 2021. This was at the very beginning of like the Austin migration, I would say. And there was this one open mic that I go up, and this homeless guy signs up, and we're all like, oh, okay, let's see. Murders.
That's
okay.
funny.
I'm like, I gotta know. I gotta ask you questions. So he comes off stage. I run up to him. I'm like, that was incredible. Like, have you ever said that before? He goes, no, I've never said that before.
That's funny.
And I'm like, who's like your comedy influence? And he goes, Joel Osteen.
So
Joel
this guy's just
Osteen.
funny.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I feel like everyone has like an uncle or like an old like coworker that would be like could just do comedy. If you handed them a mic and they just were just talking.
Well, there's two types of people. There's people that say funny things, and there's people that say things funny. And he just says things funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, so I have a couple more questions. I wrote a bunch of them down. So
this is very fun. I would stay here all
dude. I have
all day
good
until the calves tip off.
Okay, let's talk about Skankfest.
Oh yeah.
How was it? Now, did you go in a work mindset, or were you like, I'm gonna get the videos and get the shots, get the interviews, and then we're just gonna have fun?
I've been twice.
To which ones? Vegas, both times?
Vegas,
okay.
Yeah. The first one was what you just described, the latter. The second one, I was with Chase, and that was way more of a work mindset, and they were completely different trips. They were both very fun. Which one would you like to hear about?
Dealer's choice.
All right. Well, the work mindset was good because I think we made a better video. We definitely made a better video than me just going by myself and having fun the whole time, and then trying to like cram the interviews in between, just being hungover and stuff. So it was good for work. It's just the best, dude. It's everything that it's hyped up to be, and maybe even more. I would say. I don't know what it's gonna be like in New Orleans or New
imagine
Orleans,
crazy.
or whatever it's called. Yeah. Apparently it's gonna be a bigger venue, and apparently they sold more tickets. We'll be at that one. We'll see you there.
I do think it's a better move to not be in Vegas. I think Vegas was too much.
Well, they say that they wanted for the Skank faithful to have legal weed available for all of those guys, and then they also said that it's just like. No, but in Fremont Street just like feels like Skankfest. Like it's just so weird and like just like gross and like grimy and that it is, and just like random, that it fits a whole vibe. But New Orleans, apparently I've never been there. It's probably the same kind of thing, like Bourbon Street and whatever. But Old Vegas it just fit the vibe perfectly, and that venue is just like an old abandoned movie theater. So just hallways that go into like screening rooms basically, but no one ever leaves. So like imagine just an empty movie theater, but it's all flattened out, and then there's just stages, and there's 6 shows going on at once, but all the fans are going from room to room, and all the comedians are going from room to room. There's no private tunnels or anything like that. So what they say is true. It's 3 days of like partying with the best comedy fans in the world, but also right next to all the best comedians in the world. And it really is the best. Like Moontower was just here, and Moontower is awesome. I've been 4 years in a row, but it's not the best comedians in the world at all. Like this would literally be like if you took a regular comedy fan or like someone that watches like Joke World, because it's like everyone we talk about come to life in this one. It's insane. It's like I can't hype it up enough.
Tell me if this makes sense. The way that I describe the difference between Moontower and Skankfest is like the comedian's agent books Moontower.
Yes, exactly.
The comedian books Skankfest.
Yeah, like if you were like
Lewis hits up, Mark Norman or Tim. He's like, "You want to do Skankfest?"
Yeah,
in a text versus an email thread from Moontower.
Yes, it's like if like, and I don't want to say anything bad about Moontower because
no,
I really
it's fucking awesome.
It's
I mean, you need it.
Yeah.
But that's industry.
Yeah, and they're spread out more. Like this is like if Moontower all happened in one building, and it was like booked by like everyone that you want. It's like what they say about like how AI in 5 years you're going to be able to like make up your own movie. Like I want The Rock to be in Cinderella or whatever the fuck. It's like that for a comedy festival. Like you could be like, I want Dan Soder and Shane Gillis to be on, Story Wars with Tim Dillon, and then it all those characters are already there.
Yeah.
And I know they're real people. I don't mean to keep calling them characters, but that's how it feels like when you're at Skankfest, because you go take a piss and you're next to Ryan Long.
It is like the character breakfast at Disney World.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
You're just like, holy shit. Like,
yeah, that's exactly what it's like. And there's so many good shows, and there's so many cool like live podcasts and gimmick shows where it's like the Naked Roast or
Is that the one where Ari shit on the stage?
That was just Kill Tony. He just shit.
Nice.
I don't know, tarp on Kill Tony. But the Naked Roast is literally like a roast battle with naked people, or just like live podcasts, or just all these different like combination shows, or like the Blacks show, or the Queers show, or all these whatever. It's just shows that you can't see. Crowd work. It's like because if you came to Austin, you could put together your own comedy festival just by buying tickets to the Creek and then Vulcan, Mothership, and Sunset, and go on like a little run. It'll feel like a fest. It'll feel like Moon Tower.
That'll be the Joke World Festival.
Yeah. But yeah, that's funny. But if there, it's just like. But if you did that, you would only see regular stand-up, basically. Sure. Or you could go to something like Banana Phone, or you could get something. But you're going to see like live Tuesdays with Stories in one room, and then you can leave that 45 minutes in, and then go see Sam Talent doing crowd work in another room, and then you could leave that, and then go see Bobby Kelly smoking a cigar. Yeah, it's like
Sam Talent just by himself on a stage, I'll watch forever.
Yeah, he is one of the funniest at Skankfest. I feel like he's in his element there every year. And every time I've seen Tim Dillon do a set at Skankfest, it's just like on fire nonstop, just like yelling, where like you don't even like catch your breath as an audience member. Like there's like no like pauses. It's just like punchline, and you're just like gasping for air the whole time. So, like it's so much even like different than. Like I loved his special too, but like both times I've seen him at Skankfest specifically, it has just been like, unreal.
I will say one of my favorite comedy moments of all time was at the Creek, and Sam Talent was on stage, and it was raining, and so Sam Talent runs in late from outside directly on stage, and he's all wet from the rain, and he just looks out and he goes, "I'm not wet from the rain. I'm actually a baby, and I was just." Passing through my mother's birth canal." And then for 20 minutes he just did "I'm a baby" jokes that was like very clearly him making it up in the moment. Hilarious.
That's very funny.
Hilarious.
It seems right up his alley. I thought you were gonna say something dumb like I sorry folks, I just came from Rainy Street.
No. Like there was one point where they're like, "Can I have a beer?" And someone hands him a bottle and he just goes it was just so good.
And those are the kind of things that feel good to see at a festival too, because like you said, that was one of your favorite comedy moments ever. So it was obviously very funny for the people there in the room too. But it's almost like if that happened at Skankfest, it'd be like, wow, what a weird thing that just happened here. Versus if that happened at like a club when he was like on tour, you might even be like, well, that was funny, but I wish he didn't do 20 minutes of made up baby material.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I wanted to see his jokes. But in that kind of environment, it's just
it's what you want. Yeah, 100%. Okay, now I guess I'll save that one for later. But when you went to Skankfest, you did a whole bunch of interviews. Mm-hmm. Is there someone that you just love interviewing more than the others?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well,
you do a lot of interviews with Jeremiah, right?
Yep. Yeah, I interviewed him at Skankfest, and he is very fun to interview because obviously he's great at improv, and he's just a very nice guy. I would say like he almost matches like the values of the channel, like we talked about.
Well, he's like a good Christian boy, isn't he?
I don't know if he's Christian. He seems like it. Yeah.
Well, he grew up like I thought very, very Christian, or like
I don't know that about him, but I could see
maybe.
that. Yeah.
I believe it was
Kansas
somewhere
City,
in that realm.
Sort of. Yeah. So yeah, he's always very fun to interview. The first time I went, I actually interviewed Sam Talent, and that was an unreal moment because Sam's also very funny in the same way of just like improv off the top of his head. But then Doug Stanhope walked by, who's a big Sam Talent fan from his books and all that stuff. He spent in COVID out there in Arizona, and he started roasting Sam while he was doing our interview. And then so Sam kind of started roasting him back. I handed the mic to Sam, and then now Sam and Doug Stanhope are just sharing the pink JokeWRLD microphone, just talking to each other. I'm just completely out of it. But that still technically counts as a Doug Stanhope interview for me, because Sam even said, he's like, "Do you know what this channel is? JokeWRLD, it's on YouTube." He's like, "No, I don't know what that is." But Sam, if the mic isn't plugged in, that means that it's not working. And then he made fun from being old. It was a great back and forth. But I was like, oh my god, like Sam just kind of got me to interview Doug Stanhope.
Yeah, that's great.
And then this year when I was interviewing Jeremiah, the roast master,
Jeff
Ross walks by. And goes, "Did you hear that Ari took a shit on the stage?" And he has a video of it, and he's showing us the video.
Oh my god!
And this is while we're filming too, but he just didn't even really realize. Yeah. And then Jeremiah was just so nice. Like he didn't have to do this. Like these are just kind of things that are like, wow, what a good guy. He's like, hey, this channel JokeWRLD's right here. You want to do like a quick interview, maybe like 1 or 2 questions. The cameras are rolling. And he was like, no, it's all right, whatever. He was nice about it, but he was like, no, but I like your channel, but which probably isn't true, just, being polite and declining the interview. But then he walked away in Jeremiah. I was like, oh, I tried for you guys. And it's like, just the fact that he would do that is like very
cool,
above
very
and beyond.
Cool. Yeah.
But that's why it's so cool to interview people at Skankfest, because it is just so all out in the open. And like what I said about just running into people upstairs, that's all happening downstairs where we're interviewing too. So like, a lot of people, when we're waiting for the person to come, when we're waiting for the person to
phrasing.
Yeah. We'll just be set up with the cameras and our microphone just kind of like standing there waiting, and we'll get to a lot of people who I had walked past 10 times at the shows finally have the context of like me in an interview with the microphone in the hand. And they're like, oh shit, hey, we watched the videos. It's like cool to see them there. And then we'll start the interview, and there'll still be people walking around. Some people will post up and just watch the whole thing because they're a big Sam Talent fan. Yeah. And now you're watching a live version of the interview that he's going to come out later with. And I've also had people be like, I'm too agree to interviews before Skankfest, and then after Friday be like, I'm too hungover for this. I don't really want to put my best foot forward, or it's just not going to be my best foot forward. And then other people be like, the thing about these festival interviews is when you ask everyone the same question, some people will like turn it into like a pissing contest of like, well, we got to have the funniest answer because you're going to compile all these together. Mm-hmm. So I would rather just do like an interview about something else and not be like in this contest for like the funniest clip of like, who's the most underrated comedian at Skankfest? Sure. Because then some people are answering it seriously, and some people are just trying to be like Bill Cosby. Like, it's like they don't know if they're supposed to, like, that's something that I guess is a critique of my own channel. Is like, sometimes I don't think the comedians know if they're supposed to be being funny or answering it seriously, because we do make like a serious video, but I would hate if they're like, well, time to turn it off now that we're doing JokeWRLD. So
that's interesting. Now, where did the name JokeWRLD come from?
Oh, well, there was a lot of, the idea came before the name. There's a lot of bad names. I have a notebook in my office of, it sounds so funny to call it an office, but it is an office. It just seems so
if you work there, it's an office.
Of just like a notebook of like, all right, comedy, ESPN idea, excuse me, coming up with it, and then just like names, trying to like name it. I think one was like the joke cone or comedy cone, and it was like a ice cream cone with like a mic top on the top. Yeah. Joke gravy was another one. It was like a ladle with like gravy coming out of. I don't even know what that one really was. There was the laugh pad, and it was like a lily pad kind of thing. I was just making all of these in like Photoshop. They were so like, it was like 2 or 3 days of like trying to come up with a name. I wish I had the notebook. There was like 20 of them. And then once I got to JokeWRLD, I was like, oh my God, that's so good, because, well, first of all, I'm a big Juice fan, JokeWRLD.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Well, yeah, R.I.P. I guess more so in college. I still am a fan, but it's not like there's any new music coming out. So it's just like, I was already a fan of Juice, and then especially more so in college around 2020 at this time. And then so he has that one album with Future where it's just a collab album, and it's like that dripping kind of world vibe with all like those pills and stuff on it. And I just like JokeWRLD, and then just being like, oh, you know what it was? Actually, I just
the Sherwin-Williams thing.
The Sherwin-Williams. Oh, dude, I hate that you said that, because my mom said she was like, you have to change it because it looks like Sherwin-Williams. And I'm like, no one outside Cleveland's gonna know what Sherwin-Williams. Like,
Sherwin-Williams is huge.
I know, but like it's based there, so like the logo, like the downtown, like the. I just thought that she meant. God, I hate that you just said. She won't see this, but I was trying to think. I was struggling to think of names, thinking of things like Joke Gravy, like just complete bullshit. Yeah. And then I remembered hearing Joe Rogan talk about how he named his podcast, which is just basically like after the Jimi Hendrix Experience, and how that was his favorite musician, and then he just kind of morphed into there. And then I was like, who are my kind of favorite musicians at the time right now? Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, so I could make it like an Easter egg of like, we named our thing the same way that the biggest guy named his thing, which I liked, lining that kind of thing up. And then also we could make the outro a JokeWRLD beat. So now people who are JokeWRLD fans can find that kind of Easter egg at the end of our videos, this at the end. And also, like I said about like Bleacher Report just being like lame and stuff, I was trying to think of like, because also at the time I was 22 years old, I was like, this is like a nice, let's spell it like juice without the O. Like that's like a hip kind of way to do that. and the logo all came together. And I already knew that I wanted like a blank background color. I wanted it to be yellow at first, of just like every we'll do the cutouts of the people, then just like a pop color behind them, and we'll just make that consistent, so you just know that like if you see this, you know that it's our video, that kind of thing. And the yellow was like kind of okay for a little bit, but it just kind of looked like I feel like yellow is a popular thumbnail color in general, and then like you couldn't get any good words to stick out on it, because like yellow and red is its own kind of message, and then white you can't really see it, then black just kind of looks like a bumblebee, or like the Steelers. I hate the Steelers. And so it's kind of like the pink just looked like, I really liked the pink. And I want to even say like that was when like Machine Gun Kelly opened this coffee shop in Cleveland that was all pink, and it was like, wow, the branding, it became a joke later on, because girls would just show up there like dressed to the nines and take pictures in front of the logo and just like post them on Instagram. And it was very like cringy about 2 months after. But there was a time there where I was like, this is like some cool branding. There's a celebrity like putting money into like our small city. That's like,
listen, I am an unembarrassed Machine Gun Kelly fan.
Oh, that's good.
So I was listening to the mainstream dropout, or mainstream sellout.
And
it was a whole pink album.
Yeah.
Really rocking that hard.
I'm just prefacing this because at home, if you were like talking about the 27 Club and like, oh, it's so cool, people would be. It's like it was that for like.
Is that what he called it? The 27 Club.
27 Club Coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's such a fucking emo boy, isn't he?
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, in high school, that's when everyone was. That's when everyone was doing Lace Up in high school.
Yeah.
And that's when he was battling Eminem. And so that was like the pink thumbnails, and was kind of like came from like wanting the idea, and I just thought like that was kind of cool branding. So it was like a combination of like a bunch of things that I liked. Juice, JRE's name, that kind of thing, all kind of just put together. And then once I like heard that in my head, I was like, thank God, like this is the name for sure. And yeah, now the only bad part is that some people think that I named myself that, like Juice.
Oh,
like himself, like you're Joke World.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I imagine people are gonna keep bringing you up because it's such an easy.
Yeah, but that's not. I'm not trying to go by that. It's just what I want to make clear.
But like, look at just some of the other people, right? Like, I don't even know his fucking real name. What's Lil Sasquatch's real name?
I think his real name's Henry.
Does he go by that, or is it?
I think
only
he just
Sass?
started to. I think like literally in the last like 6 months.
Yeah.
I've met him a few times, so I don't want to say anything wrong, but I think he's trying to like ditch the Lil Sasquatch name for stand-up purposes.
That makes sense.
Believe or assume. Because he's just been using his real name lately.
I imagine it's got to be shit for SEO as well.
Yeah, of course.
People looking up Sasquatch.
Yeah, or Lil
Sasquatch tour dates. Hey, dumbass. He's notoriously undocumented.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, he only does pop-ins.
Yeah,
in the
Midwest. But okay, so this is where I was getting to with the Joke World question.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite Joke World yet. Seems like Joke US.
Oh, right. So that's another question I get a lot, too.
Because I actually went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival to do a month of shows in 2022, and I met my wife there. And it was like the greatest experience of my life.
Wow.
Like we got to do 29 shows in 25 days, and it was just like, boom, go, 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 go. We're barking every single day to sell tickets for that night's show, and it was just so much fun. But I really got an appreciation for comedy around the world. You know, I met Irish comedians, I met British comedians, Australian comedians, like all over the place. And right now, it's a Joke World, at least it's mainly U.S. comedians,
of course, yeah,
and maybe some Canada, like Ryan Long or Danny Polchuk.
Danger Cats.
Yeah,
we did an interview with them. That's great. Like I've thought about this for a while, and I even at one point was like, all right, let's make like a Joke World UK or what, like, you know. I think it would take some correspondence over there, because just admittedly, like I don't have a deep knowledge or really any knowledge of like overseas comedy, which is just how it is, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't been like that exposed to it. And if you're going to start a channel, the thing is like, if I was starting that, if I would have started them all together, I would have had room to like grow and then like learn about them all now. But if at this point, I don't think that I really can like just be like learning on the fly about like, I know nothing about so I would need like a correspondent over there to do that. And then I just think like that would be great if we could do that. It's just, there's a lot of things I want to do that we just don't have the infrastructure for basically at this point. Like we need definitely like a third full-time person that's like a good video editor. Man, this is the perfect podcast to say that on.
Yeah, this is. You want to hear the second half of this conversation? Just go over to my Patreon. All of the second half of the episodes are there, plus a lot more bonus content. It's patreon.com/thejimmyclifford. I'll see you there.